How does one live a life that they love?
Doing work and pursuing a path of mastery in your work is very important. And money's only one form of wealth.
During the bad times, there's an opportunity for leaders to grow to massive levels.
You can play with your phone or change the world, you can't do both.
Yes.
There's just too many people right now, they're frightened, they're caught up in volatility, they've given up on themselves. How do the great geniuses and the great leaders do what they do? If you are the smartest, fastest, best person you know, it's time to know some new people.
Hi, Robin.
Sunil, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Robin, there are people who have a lot of same skill sets, but sometimes they don't have the mindset. Tell me about that.
Well, I think a lot of people talk about mindset these days, and mindset is important. Skill sets are important. That's your ability to do things and to pursue a path of mastery. I think mindset is important because that's your belief system and your psychology. Our daily behavior reflects our deepest beliefs. So you've got to get the beliefs of world class installed in order to have those behaviors. But I think there's also three other interior empires, as I call them. So there's mindset, which is your psychology. There's also your heart set, which is our emotionality. As human beings, we have a beating heart. And to get elite performance and leadership, it's not just mindset, but it's also having the right heart set, coming from a place of gratitude, coming from a place of service, coming from a place of positivity, because our passion is contagious. But it's not only mindset and heart set, Sunil, it's also your health set.
Yes.
I think energy is even more important than intelligence. And then there's the fourth interior empire, and I call it soul set. And that's your spirituality. And I think spirituality is really actually very relevant in business because our spirituality is basically living for something that's bigger than ourselves. And when we do that, we actually become excellent leaders and great performers.
So give us one example of those four empires that you talked about.
Okay, like a tactic to
Sure.
elevate it? Sure, absolutely. So how do you improve your mindset?
Yes.
I would say be around people whose lives you want to be living.
Ah.
I would say make sure you study your heroes through reading and audiobooks. Writing in a journal about the person you want to become or the life you want to handcraft. These things over time reprogram some of the limited beliefs that we've had. How do you improve your heart set? Well, you could work with a healer, you could write in a journal. Prayer is powerful to forgive and purify our emotional life. Even walking in nature.
Yes.
When we walk in nature, it's almost like we cleanse some of the lower grade toxic emotions that limit our performance and our impact on other people. For health set, how do you improve that? Well, it's the usual suspects. Regular exercise, hydration, which improves mitochondrial function, a little bit of sunshine, fresh air, eating clean versus processed foods, good rest. Those things are great for your health set. And then finally, for your soul set, I would say solitude is powerful.
Solitude.
Solitude. We live in a world where so many of us are around people. The French mathematician Blaise Pascal said most of a person's miseries derive from their inability to sit alone in a room by themselves.
Awesome. I have a second one. How do you lead in your field, whatever your field is? How does one lead in their field?
Big question. We could go to a lot of different points. I'd say, firstly, it is to bring original value to the field.
Okay.
One of the snares we fall into is we look at our heroes and we try to be like them. One of my favorite documentaries was Miles Davis. And what did he do? He did what most people in business do. He modeled the masters. So he looked at Duke Ellington and he tried to play the trumpet like them, et cetera, et cetera. But once he got the confidence to listen to his own voice, he started producing his own original rhythm.
Right.
And once he brought fresh value to the marketplace, because he had the confidence to trust his own instinct, he led the field. And related to that is, don't pursue mediocrity. Don't accept pushing average into the marketplace. Make a commitment to be so good at, to use Steve Martin's term,
yes.
Be so good at what you do that we can't ignore you.
Yes.
And that's very rare. I think it's a great opportunity for people. Be a great student of the craft. Try to optimize every day. The researchers call it deliberate practice. Put in the time, put in the sweat equity, over time, you'll get to a place where you're so good at what you do that we can't take our eyes off of you. Those are two simple ways to lead the field. Third one is just be the most ethical person in any room that you're in.
That's awesome. I just heard you speak about being ethical. Give us, I know we know what that means. Give us some ideas about being ethical. How do you practice being ethical, let's say on a daily basis, where some people may not even know that they are not being truly ethical?
It's a fascinating question to know. The first thing is honor your values.
Okay.
Now let's get very specific. What does ethics come down to? Well, there are a few things. Being the most honest person you know, even if it, you think, oh, I might lose, ultimately you win. Keeping your promises is a sign of ethics.
Yes.
Over-delivering for the people who put food on your table. How rare is that? Look at so many advertisements for hotels, airlines, whatever. Oh, this is the nirvana. Oh, we're the greatest airliner. But you actually do business with them and it's often a mediocre experience.
Yes.
And so over-delivering and under-promising is a form of ethics. Being punctual. I believe if you're not early, you're late.
Yes.
So these are some of the signs of ethics. And then just treating every person you meet like an important human being. I think making people feel bigger in your presence is so powerful, and I think it's the mark of a great leader.
Wow, I love that. I love that. To build a mastery, let's say in personal life or in business, shed some light on that, please, for me.
Well, there's, how do you build mastery? First of all, you develop a white belt mentality, and you're always a humble student. No matter how great the world sees you as, you think like a beginner. The thing about a master is she always thinks like a beginner. So number one, ABL, always be learning. Number two, NSI, never stop improving. Okay. Number three, be a minimalist versus a maximalist. Why don't people get any traction around mastery? They say, oh, I want to be a chess champion, but then they shift to a golf champion, then they shift to, I want to be the next Elon Musk. They're masters of many things versus monomaniacally focused on one skill that if they practiced it daily over time, they would reach the apex of the mountaintop. How else? You exploit difficulty. So when you get knocked down, it sounds very simple, but a lot of people, they get knocked down and they contract and they give up.
Yes.
What the masters do is every time that they stumble, it's an experience where they get data to optimize their craft and get even better. I mean, no one, I'd say failure is the price of ambition. And I certainly fail all the time, because if you're not taking risks and you're not growing and you're not experimenting, you're not going to fail. But that failure, a failure is only a failure if you see it as a failure. Okay. Masters see failure as just, it's part of the process of mastery.
Yeah, it could be like a lesson as well, lessons.
For sure, for sure.
For living a beautiful life that you love, how does one live a life that they love?
Well, I would say, I have a model called the 8 forms of wealth.
Okay.
And money's only one form of wealth. There are 7 other areas, and we don't have time to get into all of the 7, but I'd say, how do you live a beautiful life? Well, first of all, develop your own scoreboard. I learned this from Warren Buffett. He said, I define success by living successfully according to your own scoreboard.
Right.
So for some, success is monetary success. For some, success is authenticity. For some, it's having a great family. To me, some of the metrics of success would be a great family life. Okay. What's the point of being alone in your beautiful home? So a great family life. I'd say also a healthy physical life. Okay. Right? Health truly is a form of wealth. I'd say doing work and pursuing a path of mastery in your work is very important. And it's a definition of a beautiful life. I'd also say the sensory things, great food, travel, and actually enjoying and being present to simple moments. You know, maybe it's a sunset, maybe it's beautiful music that brings tears to your eyes. Maybe it's a conversation with a stranger. The other day, you know, we're here in Toronto as we record this, and I went into a Starbucks and it was, I don't know, 6:15 in the morning. And the woman behind the counter, the barista, said, "Hi, Robin, do you want your upside down grande Americano?" Well, that might not sound like much, but I'd only been in that coffee shop 2 previous times in my life. And so that woman had taken the time to memorize my name and my drink because she takes pride in her work.
Yes.
But the moment that we shared where I applauded her and appreciated her, and I saw her light up, I mean, that's such a simple moment. But if you go through life connecting with people and seeing every person you meet as an opportunity to connect and uplift, I think that's part of a beautiful life as well. And then I'd say finally, to lead is to serve. So, you know, coming from a place of generosity, where you try to, you know, spread your stardust and uplift as many people as possible and leave each person that you meet better than you find them, I think it's a very powerful way to live a beautiful life.
Thank you, Robin. You and I were talking about current instability, market issues. We talked about some, you know, post-pandemic issues. How do you, let's say, win in these kind of scenarios? We're towards the end of 2022, going into 2023. How does one win?
It's an excellent question, Sunil. The first thing is you protect your own mindset.
Okay.
So the news can give you data to see where to pivot and what to do, and you want to be. One of my favorite words is prescient. Prescient, as you know, means you see into the future. I think Steve Jobs' superpower was he could see around corners. So the job right now is to go, what does the next 24 months look like, 36 months look like? What do I need to do to pivot and protect and actually win? So the first thing you do is you protect your hope. You lose your hope, you get negative, you're not going to do anything. Second thing you do is you ask yourself, how can I deliver more value in my marketplace than any of my industry peers?
Okay.
Right now, a lot of people are scared, so they're contracting. They're not hiring top talent. They're cutting back on services. I mean, you go into some restaurants, they were great before the pandemic, and now they've just cut back on the produce. It's not as fresh. The team isn't as, that is an opportunity. I'd say another opportunity is know more about what it is you do than anyone else who is doing what you do.
I see.
So you can bring more value to the marketplace. I'd also say during this time, this is not a time to neglect your health. You want to protect your energy and stay fit and eat well. And then I'd also say you want to find where other people are looking at all the negativity, you want to ask yourself, what is the opportunity to serve? What is the opportunity to grow right now? I call it the WTOH question. What's the opportunity here?
I see.
I mean, it's like investors. I'm not a financial expert, but people will tell you in a market crash, that's a great buying opportunity. And so you have to ask yourself, as things fall apart, what is the opportunity for me to get better, grow better, serve more people, make the world a better place? Heroes are born in darkness, not in the light.
That's awesome. So during sort of the bad times, let's say, there's an opportunity for leaders to grow to massive levels. Is that correct, what you're saying?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. You know, I get people coming to me and talking about they are short of time. They don't have time. They're running out of time all the time. And you talk about how you get things done in a week than in a year for some people. Shed a light on that, time management.
Time management. A few quick ideas. Sunil, you can play with your phone or change the world. You can't do both.
Okay.
Right? So one of my favorite brain tattoos, an addiction to distraction is the death of creative production. How many people say, I don't have any time? Yeah. Yet they squander the hours that they have. So if you were following them or shadowing them through the day, they say they don't have any time, but they're playing with their phone, they're watching videos that are trivialities versus valuable, they're gossiping at the water cooler, everyone they know has their phone number or they're texting. I mean, there's a huge distinction between real work and fake work. And that's a really important point. Right. Let us not confuse busyness with productivity.
Yes.
Let us not confuse movement with progress. So number one, your devices, make them your servants, not your masters. Number two, I have to say it, join the 5 a.m. club. Take that 1 hour victory hour to prepare yourself. The Spartan warriors say, sweat more in training and you'll bleed less in war.
Yes.
So that first hour is not for work. It's for exercise, prayer, meditation, journaling, all those things to battle-proof yourself so when you walk out in the world, you're strong, focused, and centered. Third thing I would say is, it sounds so simple, but a written weekly schedule.
Okay.
So every morning I take an hour and I plan out what I call my blueprint for a beautiful week. It has my work commitments, my family commitments, my exercise commitments, my spiritual commitments. That is almost the holy grail for me of getting things done. I could talk about delegation.
Yes.
Right? A lot of people, they try to do everything. Well, the bigger the dream, the more important your team. Find people who are excellent at the things you're not excellent at, surround yourself with a great team, and then delegate.
Awesome. And as you know, you've changed many people's lives in 5 a.m. Club. You keep touching upon it, including mine. So that's awesome. You're coming to India, Mumbai, India. Amit and I are producing this event called Indian Wealth Summit. Tell us why India, why now? Any feedback, any thinking from your point of view?
Well, this is going to be a very special event. I always love coming to India. I love coming to Mumbai. And my presentation is really about leadership.
Yes.
And it's how the entrepreneurs, business people in the room
Yes.
can do three primary things. Number one, significantly upgrade their productivity.
Yes.
So they get big things done versus losing time and get caught up in trivialities. Number two, this is about growing your various fortunes in terms of leadership, in terms of your lifestyle, in terms of your impact, in terms of making a big difference. And the third thing I'm going to really get into is, how do you not only get to the top of the mountain in your business career, but how do you live a gorgeous life along the way? I remember reading an obituary years ago about a famous lawyer in my city, and it was written by his son. And the son applauded the father about what kind of family man he was and what kind of lawyer he was. And then he said, he lived a gorgeous life. And I've never forgotten that. And so at my presentation in Mumbai, it'll also be I'll deconstruct not only how the world's most successful people do it, because I've mentored a lot of billionaires and super successful people for over a quarter of a century, but how do you also create a gorgeous life along the way? Because success without soulfulness is an empty victory. And I think that's really important. Be successful, but live beautifully along the way, and obviously make a difference.
Define success for me. What's success to you?
Sure. To me, it's being an honorable human being.
Yes.
It's using however long I get to live to make a difference in the lives of other people and help them remember their genius, greatness, power. Success is being a good father, a good partner, a good son. Success is trying to be the best that I could possibly be in my craft.
Yes.
Success is treating people with humility.
Yes.
And if I see a chance to serve or help or offer even a compliment,
Yes.
or if there's someone who might be in need, to remember that I might not get the chance again to do something, that's successful. Steadily moving towards the things that terrify me so I become a stronger human being is success. And I think just building my knowledge is very important to me as well. Just trying to learn more while I have fun along the way.
What is it that terrifies you?
What terrifies me, I think, not living my potential.
Oh, interesting.
That would be, I think all of us are living small fractions of our human potential. There are no extra human beings on the planet. We all have gifts and talents. And so for me, it's terrifying that, I got caught up in busy things versus doing what I'm meant to do and living my mission. And I definitely want to live my potential.
I would love to ask you your mission. What's
to
your
serve.
mission?
Simple. It's to serve.
Serve?
It's to serve. And I believe the call on my life is to teach people leadership and remind them of their gifts and their talents and help them exploit their days or leverage their days so they live gorgeous lives and they show leadership versus get caught up in victimhood. And there's just too many people right now, they're frightened, they're caught up in volatility, they've given up on themselves. A lot of people are stuck. A lot of people say, you know what? The people I admire, the Joan of Arcs, the Serena Williams, the Elon Musk, the Steve Jobs, the Nelson Mandelas, a lot of people fall into the hallucination or hypnosis that these people are cut from a different cloth. And that's just not true. They just do different things. And at the Mumbai event, I'm going to precisely deconstruct in an inspiring way, but a very tactical way, how do the great geniuses and the great leaders do what they do? And it's actually, I mean, there is a system that they follow. Most people don't know it, but to have the results very few people have, you've got to be willing to do what very few people are willing to do.
The geniuses, you just mentioned geniuses, are they born or can you attract those attributes to do what the geniuses do?
Well, I've mentored a lot of billionaires, a lot of super athletes, members of royalty, top CEOs, et cetera. And I can definitely tell you that genius is much more about habits than genetics.
Right.
So you look at the people who do amazing things, and they have a minimum viable level of intellect. I mean, right. But having said that, look at most people, and I'm not judging, I'm just reporting. But here's, I think, a very powerful idea. Too many good souls want the rewards of world class without doing the things that world class requires. So if you're wasting your time all day, you're playing with your phone, you're looking at all these videos, you're complaining, you're expecting the world to give you a living and your organization to promote you, but you're not doing the work and adding the value, then that's just magical thinking. If you don't treat people well, if you have disorganization in your life, if you waste your time, if you read negative books, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then you're going to get negative results. So if you look at geniuses, they have a few things in common. Number one, they spend a lot of time alone. Number two, geniuses focus on their biggest problems for long periods of time. Number three, geniuses don't surround themselves with negative people. They're very obsessed with that one thing that they want to spend their life on.
How important is it to surround yourself with like-minded people or people who are doing really, really well? You keep mentioning about spending time. How important is that?
Well, I think you'd agree with me, Sunil. All it takes is one thing that someone says to you in one conversation that radically shifts the way you see the world.
Yes.
And so when you spend time with people whose lives you want to be living, their stardust rubs off on you. And that's not some kind of a platitude. We could go to the science of mirror neurons. It's a type of brain cell. Automatically, subconsciously, we model and mimic. Human beings are masters of mimicry. When we were tribal thousands of years ago, we would model the behavior of the chief. If the chief discovered a new tool, subconsciously through mirror neurons, we'd build the new tool. Now here we are in the modern age, and if we're surrounded by energy vampires and victims, we operate like them. If we surround ourselves with people of excellence, again, I'm going to go back to the Mumbai event. Being in the room, it's not just hearing the people who are presenting. Being in the room with other people who love to learn, who want to win, who want to change the world, who want to play in the rare air of world class, rubbing shoulders with them. They could share an idea with you that allows you to completely revolutionize your business or your health or your life. So I would say if you are the smartest, fastest, best person you know, it's time to know some new people.
I love it. I love it. Last question. It's called Indian Wealth Summit. And a lot of times when we say the word wealth, sometimes people just think it's money. Obviously, it's much more than that. What is wealth to you?
Wealth to me is feeling that you're using your life in a way that is uplifting other people. Wealth to me is knowing that you're using your work as fuel to mine your potential and promise. Wealth is great health and vitality. Wealth is having 3-hour meals with your family while you're laughing and just feeling connected to the people that you love. Wealth to me is learning.
Yes.
In this world where so many people, they stop learning when they finish school. Wealth is just maintaining that white belt mentality and beginner's mindset where you're just, Einstein said it well, never lose your holy curiosity. That's wealth. And wealth is, it is economic wealth as well.
Sure.
You know, of course it is. Being able to have the prosperity to take good care of your family, to do amazing things for yourself, and to make the lives of other people much better. When about 3 years ago, my dad said, Robin, if you ever have a chance, do whatever you can to help people with leprosy.
No, I see.
My dad used to be a doctor in East Africa, and during that time, he worked with people at leper colonies. And he said, those people, they really, really suffer. And so I'm not saying I'm so special, but I'm spending a fair amount of my time trying to do my part to help people suffering from leprosy. To me, that is something that I would consider wealth as well. You know, the last thing I'd say is, if you look up the definition of humanitarian, it's a human being that is concerned about the welfare of the world.
Right.
And we all can be humanitarians if we care about making the world a better place.
Awesome. Robin, I truly look forward to being there at the Indian Wealth Summit, sharing stage with you and with Amit. It'd be my honor. So thank you for this. Anything you want to say before we finish off?
You know what? I so appreciate my Indian readers. They've been so great to me and so loyal to me and so generous to me. And any chance to get back to India is always wonderful to me. And I'm going to bring my very best to the event in Mumbai to make it hopefully a transformational experience for the people in the room.
There's no doubt. We just had you recently. We know that it's going to be an amazing event. So thank you for coming. We really appreciate you. And we truly look forward to seeing you in Mumbai, India.
Thank you so much, Sunil.
You're welcome.